Hi there, this is Travis.
Hi, this is Jonathan.
And we'd both love to welcome you to the 100 Ways to Love a Cat podcast.
That's true. And this is the podcast that eventually plays the song 100 Ways to Love a Cat.
And we're both looking forward to that, and we hope you are too, because it's definitely coming up. That's what we're here to do, and by God, we're going to do it.
Is our job. Play that song on this podcast.
That's what we do on this podcast. That's what we've done on every podcast before this one. And if God willing, we're able to keep, making time here on this planet Earth. We'll be doing this next week and on and on and on and on. Until the sad day that one of us passes away.
Well,
it's inevitable. We all have to go sometime, but hopefully not anytime soon. And hopefully not with a terrible disease or some people. It's just awful what people
when people
away
die
from.
Sometimes it's it's usually sad because
absolutely
it's weird. Should we go down this road?
I don't want to be. You could. It's part of life, and you have to talk about it. And you can go. I don't want to say go dark, but we can't ignore these parts of our lives.
I would call it dark, but with a happy. Well, this is a good test for us. Let's see. Here we are. It's our 9th episode. Can we talk about death, disease, the horrible ways and pain and sadness that comes with death, and make that something where you can transition into a great song about cats that some people use to fall asleep to. Can we do that? Let's see. It's a good test for us.
I'm willing to give it a try or dig in. Now, I don't know. I can't make any guarantees. The one thing I can always guarantee is that you will hear the song 100 Ways to Love a Cat.
As soon as we're done talking about death.
Other than that,
If we don't pull it off, we don't have to play this. So I guess if you're hearing this now, that means we did it. And if you're not hearing it, well, it doesn't matter.
Well, no one heard it.
So I have a disease. I don't. But for the purpose of this
just to
podcast,
say, I see, hypothetically.
I have a disease.
Diseased.
It's going to be painful. It's going to hurt.
That's awful.
It's going to drag on and on, causing pain to me and the people who love me,
like myself.
Thanks.
I would hate to see that, Jonathan. It would just be a terrible thing to even think about.
Ironically, in this case, death would be welcomed. So that's a case.
That's a release. Everyone's a relief. Like, oh, they're not hurting anymore. So yes, you're absolutely right.
So when is death a good thing? When
enough is enough, it sounds like.
Right.
So
and I guess death is bad. Like if your life, okay, let's say this. Everything in my life is going about as well as anyone who's ever lived's life has been. Also not true, but I can't complain.
Sure.
If I got, let's say, or things are even, he's about to win $1 million. He won the lottery. Let's say I didn't, but let's say in this case, just for sake, podcast experiment, I won the lottery, and Tuesday I'm going down to pick up the check. I'll be a rich man, Travis, and I'm going to give you everything you ever desired.
Oh, I didn't ask for anything. I just want your friendship.
That's why you're my friend, because you wouldn't ask. A lot of these bozos out there would say, hey, where do I line up to get my cut?
No.
I'd say, well, where have you been all these years? So I'm driving down to the lottery office to pick up my check, and guess what? Car accident.
Oh.
Now that is a case where death would be sad.
Where you would die.
But there are cases
it would also be terrible, though, if you were in a car accident and they were just, left in bad shape where you couldn't enjoy
and then
all
death
the money.
Would be welcome. And then death would be welcome.
Exactly. See? You can flip it any which situation.
So
there you go.
Stand there and say death is the worst, because sometimes it's the best, and we don't know when that's going to be.
You don't know, and you can't tell. We know it's the end, or we think, at least for here, I think the end is safe to say.
It's definitely the end of being on Earth.
Of living. Yes, absolutely.
Now, there's different. You could go to heaven. You could go meet God and Jesus. That's one way. You could go to hell. You could go meet Lucifer and Satan.
Right.
You could go be a ghost and that's still on Earth technically, but I think you're in another dimension.
I don't think it's the same. It's definitely not being alive. And no.
But you see a ghost like in their castle where they used to live or wherever they're haunting.
Right.
So they're connected to Earth, but like through a different dimension. I studied all this years ago.
You saw the Bouldergeist, didn't you? The Bouldergeist? Mm-hmm. The Bouldergeist is a movie. This is when I was I'm giving away my age here, but when I was a young man.
How old were you?
How I thought ghosts. Well, I mean, you do the math. Bouldergeist came out in the 82, but we went to see the Bouldergeist, and before that it was Casper as far as ghost went for me, and friendly ghost, as they said, cute, funny. The ghost in the Bouldergeist movie.
It's not friendly.
Not at all. Not at all. Would not want to have. That's a situation where, like, do I have to go on living with these ghosts like this
Right.
Bouldergeist in my house, or just let them kill me and put me out of my misery? I don't know what I hope I'm never in that situation.
That's another ironic part about thinking about death is another case when death would be a happy situation, and it might be when you're being haunted out of your mind by a bunch of ghosts.
Right.
And then you might welcome death.
Looking forward to it. Absolutely. I can totally understand that. It's stressful. It's just so stressful.
That's the worst thing about it. It's almost like, oh, look who just moved in, a noisy bunch of nincompoops. Now I have to live, unless I sell my house, I have to live next door to a bunch of people I would rather not. And then in a ghost movie, it's sort of the same thing. So
they're in the house with you.
They're in the house with
you.
So, I mean, that's the difference, but it's close. It's close enough
Similar.
where I think, okay, it's not so much I'm scared, although I am. It's more just like every day I have to wake up and deal with this.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Every day you're annoyed and you're scared, or somebody's playing their radio. Either way, it's just a pain.
Well, you know what? Something that does happen every day, I mean, once a week, I should say, that makes me feel better is hearing the song 100 Ways to Love a Cat. I know there's some people out there who've got their pillows, they're ready to lay down and relax. And I know some people that just enjoy listening to it. So let's leave all this stuff behind just for a bit, take a break, and focus on 100 ways that anyone could love a cat. There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 1, keep a tidy house for them, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 2, be sure to clip their claws, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 3, scoop their box daily, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 4, brush them with a hairbrush, 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways, 100 loving ways, 100 loving ways, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 5, don't squeeze their paws hard, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 6, give them some fresh water, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 7, let them have a fish, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat, 100 loving ways. Way 8, Buy them a scratching post. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 9. Put them in your lap. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 10. Be quiet when they're sleeping. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 11. Whisper, I love you. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 12. Rub their soft belly. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 13. Make sure their tail is clean. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 14. Give them a yarn ball. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 15. Make them a nice bed. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 16. Buy him some catnip. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 17. Play them some music. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 18. Get them a cute collar. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 19. Make sure they're vaccinated. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 20. Take their picture. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 21. Brush their teeth. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 22. Let them watch TV. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 23. Don't let them be outside by themselves. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 24. Feed them some cat food. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 25. Make sure their eyes are clean. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 26. Put a liner in their box. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 27. Give them a mat to wipe their feet on. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 28. Don't forget them on Christmas. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 29. Make sure they're spayed or neutered. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 30. Hold them like a baby. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 31. Let them have a towel or blanket. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 32. Keep your toilet lid down. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 33. Don't let them chew on power cords. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 34. Set them by the window. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 35. Cat-proof your home. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 36. Change their litter weekly. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 37. Praise them lavishly. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat.
100 loving ways. Way 38. Never feed him chicken bones. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 39. Teach them a funny trick. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 40. Give them a toy mouse. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 41. Clean up their hairballs. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 42. Keep them away from candles. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 43. Give him a separate zone. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 44. Never play with them aggressively. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 45. Increase his cuddle time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 46. Be sure to watch his weight. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 47. If you leave, turn on the radio. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 48. Scold him firmly but with kindness. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 49. Respond when he meows. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 50. Give them a thing of cat grass. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 51. Scratch under his chin. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 52. Remind him that you love him. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 53. Give them a box to play in. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 54. If they're old, help them get down. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 55. Let them lick you with their rough tongue. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 56. Record precious memories. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 57. Dress them up in ribbons. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 58. Give them a flea treatment. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 59. Make a vet appointment. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 60. Give them a little wet food. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 61. When they scratch you, don't get angry. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 62. Give them some private time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 63. Treat them with respect. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 64. When he grooms himself, say good job. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 65. Let them chase a laser pointer. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 66. Clean out their ears. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 67. Never smoke around them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 68. Buy a sturdy cat carrier. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 69. Listen to them purr. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 70. Dented by temptations. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 71. Give them your full attention. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 72. Don't trap them in the laundry basket. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 73. Let them sleep in bed with you. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 74. Make sure they're not locked in the closet. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 75. Don't let them play in plastic bags. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 76. Give them a massage. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 77. Touch him as you pass by. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 78. If he's on the couch, don't be mad. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 79. If they hate fans, turn the fan off. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 80. When there's a bird outside, say, hey, look. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 81. Intrigue them with a funny sound. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 82. Don't forget sardine time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 83. Let him play with your old socks. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 84, stroke in the direction that his fur goes. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 85, admire his long whiskers. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 86, keep his box away from his food. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 87, pretend that he's a piano. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 88, don't interrupt them while they're eating. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 89, when they're scared, go and comfort them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 90, let him have a lick. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 91, if their breath stinks, give them greenies. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 92, give him a ball with a bell in it. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 93, if it's hot, put ice in their bowl. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 94, let him drink out of the sink. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 95, don't vacuum if it scares him. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 96, draw a picture of him. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 97, if you drop some food, it's theirs now. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 98, read him a book. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 99, feed him again. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 100, just love them every day. 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways. 100 loving ways.
There it is once again.
The Great 100 Ways to Love a Cat. Everyone's favorite song. Probably, if you're listening to this podcast.
Well, you mentioned earlier, and we've discussed this before, that people, and it's just made me curious about something. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't do anything, but we've both been told by a few people that this is a sleep aid, that people listen to the song in the evening, or if you want to take a nap, I suppose. People there are people who work third shift too, so you could be playing in the morning. It doesn't matter what.
Which is the other two shifts? Third shift means you work during the nighttime.
Very, very late. Where most people would be going to sleep, that's when you go to work.
But see, here's where I get confused. First shift is you work during the daytime, like
Correct.
a regular person.
Correct.
The third shift is you work during the nighttime,
Right.
like a ghoul or a ambulance driver.
People, yeah.
Like, or who else would work in the middle of the night? A cab driver or someone up to no good, like a crook or a thief.
I don't know if that's a job, but they're up at that hour. I see what you're saying.
But what's the second shift then? First shift, regular. Third shift, nighttime. What's second shift?
No, well, second shift is kind of nighttime. The third shift is where that's like nighttime plus some daytime, about to be, I think.
First shift is 9 to 5.
I work from 9 to 5. Then I go in at 5, and let's say I worked from 5
That's
to...
third shift.
No, that's second shift, because third shift is like you were talking midnight or 1 in the morning or something like that.
I feel like it's daytime and nighttime.
No,
First shift,
but I
second
mean,
shift.
one is daytime is definitely daytime. When you get up and work first shift, that's always
Breakfast,
daytime. But the other
lunch,
two
dinner.
can kind of bleed into one or the other because it's still daytime when you go in to work in the afternoon, but then it gets dark, so you're working a little bit both there. But then when you go in a third shift, you're going in and it's dark, but you work until the sun comes up, so you're working in a little bit of daytime. At least seeing the sun come up as you drive home, I think.
I've only known, and this is just my experience, but I think it counts for something. I've only known people. I work during the daytime. I work. I make a salary where I can afford to have a family, and we have a nice house. Or I work at nighttime, and it's just sort of things are left unsaid. But I've never known anybody that's like, I go to work at 3 p.m.
Well,
I mean,
there are people who. I mean, there's all kinds of hours for different things.
Can you even imagine?
Well, I can't. I knew someone that worked in a factory, like a pie factory, or not so much a pie, but pastries. Different. It was a factory, and he went into work.
What a fun job.
Well, you would think, like, but he would complain about it, like, oh, enough of these pies. Something I've been looking forward to all week, where it's like, oh, let's enjoy this. What are those cream-filled croissants or those muffins?
Dream job.
Yeah, but I'm like, I can't wait till this weekend because I'm waiting to eat it. I'm not going to eat a little at a time because I know I'm not able to, so I'm just going to wait and eat it all.
That's the only
this
way.
Weekend. I'm excited, but for someone like him who's around it, like every night and morning, it's like, enough with the pies. So
yeah, I know.
I don't know if it's
that.
a dream job.
I know people like that.
Well, that worked at a.
You have to
third
cut.
shift
Sometimes you have to cut negativity out of your life.
I suppose so. Yeah. Well, what I was going to say earlier is that when some people use this to sleep, regardless where they when they work or where they don't, or what time of day it is, I guess. When we come back, should we be a little quiet? I mean, it's too late now.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, okay, thank you very much.
We should probably wind down as we're talking through the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, then maybe this is when they start to wake up again. If it's just a nap, we should do some for naps and some for nighttime
I didn't think
sleep.
about that.
If we just nap, we go quiet, and then we start to talk a little bit louder. And now it's time for you to wake up.
Right. Okay. That's if you let us know how you listen or use or enjoy, or all three, this particular podcast, please let us know on the computer somehow. I think there's a way. There's a button you can hit
However
somewhere.
you can figure that
not
out.
Quite
We're
sure.
not going to take the time to learn.
Well,
how to do that.
we're too busy doing this. It's not like we're
Right.
throwing it in your face. We hope
Right.
somebody knows how to do it. Because
Yeah.
if you can get in touch with us, please do to let us know.
And if somebody can figure out how to get in touch with us, maybe I'm being too loud. If somebody can figure out how to get in touch with us, then they can probably figure out how to get in touch with everybody else who might want to know.
That's true.
So I'm just going to leave that up to the experts.
That's true. That's very true. But we would love to hear any suggestions you have, as long as it's don't play that song. We'll listen to anything else.
Good night.